Interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's our last show of the week, Tony. Are you excited for our 4-day weekend?
I'm Frank Isola. You know, Tony left this note.
Oops.
It's a five-day weekend for me, Pookie.
Yeah, well, that just means
Pookie?
he's at a golf course. How do you get that here?
No
He knew.
smiling emojis, though. He
No
didn't write them
emojis.
in.
He doesn't know emojis.
Hey, he's not an emoji guy.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't even know what emojis are. He's at a golf course somewhere. You know, he's freezing.
Big golf weekend. I know. I don't think
Not freezing in a golf.
you're in D.C. when the temperature dips below 50.
Not all.
Like Haley's Comet.
Welcome to PTI, kiddies. The old grouch has the day off, so I am joined happily by our great friend, Mr. Frank Isola.
Wow. They were louder in rehearsal, Mike.
Yeah, it's a good Friday welcome, even though it's not Friday yet. Let's start with the Lakers at the center of two stories. First was last night's loss in Oklahoma City, a game the Lakers led in the fourth quarter until Luka got ejected. And tonight, Luka and company are in Dallas for his return there after that shocking deadline deal that led to so much disenchantment among the fans in Dallas. Frank, is your focus on what happened last night or what will happen tonight?
I'm going to focus on last night because tonight's going to be a love fest. And LeBron was right. When he went back to Cleveland, pretty hostile. I still remember being at Madison Square Garden when Pat Riley returned for the first time with the Miami Heat. That was nasty. There's going to be a love-in tonight for Luka. And he's going to be well rested because he got ejected from the game with 7.5 minutes to go. The referee, J.T. Orr, thought that Luka was directing
bad call
at him. But, you know, you could say bad call, but it wasn't Austin Reeves who did it. It wasn't Dorian Finney-Smith. It was Luka. And, you know, when you think about the NBA, if it's a complaint department, he's the head of the complaint department.
He is, no question.
Complains all the time. I'm an expert at complaining. I can spot them from a mile away. And it's something that he's going to have to monitor in the playoffs, and it's something for the Lakers to take notice of. After he gets ejected, you know, they're up a point. They got outscored 29-12 the rest of the game by OKC, and they're playing for seeding. And if we go back to Game 3 of the NBA Finals, that's when the series ended because Luka had an emotional breakdown in that game. Got 6 fouls with 4 minutes to go. Remember him screaming at the bench, screaming at the referees. That is something. For them to go deep into the playoffs and maybe win it, Luka has to pick his spots because right now he's over the top at that.
There's a lot to love about Luka Doncic.
Yep.
That ain't among the things to love. The whining, the constant whining.
Nonstop.
The players going the other way. He's defensively challenged anyway, and he's not even in the play.
That's right.
Oklahoma City, though, was going to win that game last night. They were just going to win.
It was 108-107.
I know, but they were going to win that game last night. And so let's go fast forward to tonight. It's going to be so emotional there. But let me mention 3 guys on the Dallas Mavericks roster who have great incentive. 2 who were involved in the trade themselves, Anthony Davis and Max Christie, and Derek Lively, who's been back a couple of games already, but he got hurt and he missed it. Can you imagine if Kyrie Irving was healthy and playing? This is going to be an event. It would be an enormous event if those teams were at full strength and Kyrie was out there. I think Dallas has got a lot of incentive, and I think in some ways, if you were the guys I just mentioned, Davis, Christie, and Lively, you were at the center of saying, okay, everybody in this building loves him, all right, even though he's glaring over at Nico Harrison.
That's right.
You think Nico's going to be in his seat tonight?
If he's not, it'll be a big story. He'll be there tonight.
All right, but you got to want to beat Luka.
Yep.
You love him if you're 2 of those guys, but you got to want to beat him. Dallas is going to get in, although it's a magic number of 1. Because the Phoenix Suns aren't even awake.
Awful.
And they haven't been for a while, and they have no shot. Because they'd have to win all 3 of their games while Dallas loses all 3 of its to get in the wild card. Get in the play-in, not going to happen. But this is what we're watching.
No, this game's got juice, especially for this time of year.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Kyrie. You know, Kyrie with the knee injury was done, and then done for the year. And then, you know, Anthony Davis, who gets all this criticism, Anthony Davis, when he got hurt, could have said, you know what, I'll see you in October.
Hugs.
He came back and played. They're going to be the 10 seed because, like you said, the team with the biggest payroll in the NBA right now is in the 11 seed. Hard to believe. All right, the Lakers' loss was far from the worst one last night. The Timberwolves, they were up 24 points on the Bucks in the fourth quarter, and they blew it. The Bucks came all the way back to win by 7. Minnesota's collapse dropped them from 5th to 8th in a tightly bunched Western Conference. So, Mike, how damaging was this loss?
Frank, I keep going back and forth on this. My first thought, there's a bunch of games to watch last night, as you know, and I'm sitting there. It's a 1 TV night for me for some reason. I don't know why I didn't go multiple screens, but I'm not paying attention to the Bucks and T-Wolves because the lead's too big.
Yeah.
It's 24 points. There's 10 minutes left. I'm not going to that game. I got other stuff. And then I see this comeback or this blowing the lead. But Minnesota's not, they're a team that a good friend of mine who's in the industry says you can't fool them because they're not paying attention. The T-Wolves aren't paying attention. They win 5 games in a row. I count on the T-Wolves every week or so to be the team in the West that could beat anybody. Because they have some pedigree from last year and what they did getting to the conference finals and beating Denver. And I'm like, okay, T-Wolves, I'm with them. They win 5 in a row, and then they have some unbelievably stupid loss. And they do this all the time. They remind me of the San Diego Chargers, Los Angeles Chargers now in the NFL. You can't count on them. But you know what? They also have these losses, and they don't seem to be derailed too much by stupid losses.
Yeah.
So maybe it means nothing.
You know, a couple of things about the Bucks. Bobby Portis back after a 25-game suspension.
And look what he did last night.
He played really well. Giannis
well.
had another triple-double. But come on, when you're up by that, I don't care if you're on the road.
Shouldn't.
But maybe they had it coming to them because you go back to Game 7. This is for Minnesota against Denver last year. They were down big in the second half. They came back and won. Remember the win that they had against Oklahoma City?
Yes.
They were down 24 points. And they came back from 16 down.
This is
with 4
what
minutes
they
to go.
do.
And the overtime win they recently had.
Wildly unpredictable.
But how about all these teams, though, with the Clippers, Denver, Golden State, Memphis, all these teams at 47 and 32, and a team that we probably don't talk about enough that's in that group. And if you're Adam Silver in the league office, you're thrilled that these games mean something. So right into the final day, the seeding is going to be determined in the West. How about the Clippers, though? 5 in a row. Last night they hold out
Kawhi's had 20 in all of
because
them
they're on a
plus.
second night of a back-to-back tonight against second-place Houston. If the Clippers could win this, they'll be in a good position. I watched Kawhi play 2 weeks ago, 12 days ago in person.
Yeah.
He had 25 points in the first half, and he dominated the game on the defense.
Last time,
they're a sneaky, dangerous
well,
team.
the last time Kawhi Leonard was this healthy and engaged in the first week of April was 2019.
Yeah,
He won a
we know how that
championship.
ended.
I mean, you know, that's how great a player he is, if capable, if healthy enough to be out there. You're right about that. But let me go back to Minnesota for a second, because they've got a young, healthy star. Yeah. Kawhi, we don't know about. He's gimpy. He's had all these issues. And these legit issues Kawhi has had, even in his greatness. Anthony Edwards, this is supposed to be his time and their time coming off what they did to Denver, the champs. They eliminated Denver last year. They eliminated the champs. Yeah. And now, every time they get rolling, they sputter. And last night was a big sputter.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be in the play-in. I don't care how good you are if you get on a roll. You don't want to be in it.
That's why you're going to have two really good teams finish 7th and 8th.
Yes.
One of those teams is going to have to play 2 games on the first week to get into the playoffs.
That's right.
And that's where, for Adam Silver in the league, they're saying, everyone loves to throw around the regular season doesn't mean anything. Well, last year, Dallas had the best record. They won. Boston had the best record. They won the championship. Look at Oklahoma City. And now you don't want to be 7th or 8th in the West.
The in-season tournament, that means nothing.
Yeah.
As crazy as that Bucks comeback was last night, the Canucks did something even more remarkable. Down 5-2 to the Stars late in the third period in Dallas. The Canucks scored 3 times in the final minute, all with an extra skater and an empty net behind them to push the game to OT. It's the first time in league history a team has overcome a 3-goal deficit in the final minute. Vancouver then went on to win the game in overtime. Frank, what's the word for what the Canucks pulled off last night?
I like how this is the warm-up act for Luka in Dallas.
It is, isn't it?
Look what the
What an
Stars
appetizer.
did. My word is bonkers. Think about this. Dallas is at home. They have a 3-0 lead going into the third period. They were up 4-2. Then they scored an empty netter.
Yeah.
And then you have the Canucks scoring 3 goals in the final minutes. Pius Suter ended up scoring the last 2, one with 30 seconds to go, then just under 10 seconds, and then they win in overtime. And they were essentially facing elimination. They're probably not going to make it. They're 6 points back of Minnesota right now for that second wild card. But on the verge of elimination.
Okay, I got a hyphenated word. And I'm not sure if it's successfully desperate or desperately successful. But when you pull the goaltender with that deficit, okay, you got to go for it to save your season. Because it ends otherwise. And it's remarkable that you could have that in Dallas. We talk about choking and what happened there. You're on home ice and you let that happen. that seems it's not possible because it's never happened before in league history.
You know, these games, these sports, they change so much. NBA with three-point shooting. You look at football, everyone goes for it now on fourth down. Soccer, everyone could keep the ball forever, and they basically play keep away. I wonder if with hockey, I think they've become so sophisticated that 6-on-5 it actually works. It seems to work more in your favor now than it probably did 20 years ago. It always felt like you were basically waving the white flag.
Desperation.
You pull your goaltender,
it felt like.
and then you end up giving a goal.
Yeah.
Right? And the Cavs clinched the top seed in the East last night. But did the Celtics have the more meaningful win?
You know, Cleveland won. No Kobe White. I was disappointed to see no Kobe White last night.
Yeah.
He's turned into one of the league's most entertaining players.
He's been great.
Time to spank, Frank, and toss up. What's first?
Toss up, whose Masters victory would make for the more impressive story? Scottie Scheffler or Rory McIlroy?
Frank, this is easy for me. It's Rory. I get it. Scottie Scheffler, we're going for 3 wins in 4 years. I get that. You can get there. You know, you can get the back-to-back. You have plenty of time for that. Rory, even though he's still a fairly young guy, he's got, you can say, 10, 12 more really good chances.
Yep.
I don't know that. I don't know when the disappointment piles on top, one after another, after another, and after another, that you just have, you know, an unlimited number of chances. He's gone 38 majors without winning a major, all right? And he's never won the Masters. No, the better story, the more impressive story, the bigger story is Rory McIlroy winning at Augusta.
All right, the key word is impressive. I like how you're trying to dismiss that.
Yes.
It would be Scheffler, because if he goes back-to-back, only Jack has done it, Nick Faldo, Tiger Woods. If he goes 3 and 4 years, that's something that only Jack has done before. So that's incredibly impressive. What's the best story? Now, that would be Rory, because first of all, he's very popular among the fans, the guys on the tour, and what do we love? When Tiger won his last Masters, what that meant, Jack winning at 46. If Rory's there on Sunday with a chance to win, he comes up to the 18th, that would be a great story.
Yes.
So you and I, our background is as sports writers, we always root for the best story.
Rory's
the best story.
We would be rooting for
impressive.
Rory if we were sitting in that press room getting ready to write columns.
Yes.
And Rory is also, not that Scottie Scheffler is anything other than cooperative and seem, perfectly gracious. Rory knows how to tell a story.
Yeah.
Rory would be like on a psychiatrist's couch in Butler cabin with his green jacket, and he could give you all sides of his own drama in a way that few people in the sport can. So Rory, and Rory.
Yeah, if he wins, we'll all drink a Guinness afterwards. He was on ESPN today, and he did talk about Jack winning at 46, and he said, I'm getting older, but I still have some time. And the way that these guys keep themselves in unbelievable condition. I mean, look at that.
Everybody's playing 5 to 8 years beyond what they used to in every sport. So it makes sense. Phil just finished top 5 in a few years ago? So if Phil can do that, Rory maybe can't. But you don't want to wait. You don't want to have that drama playing out that long.
We're rooting for the better story.
Rooting for Rory.
More impressive than Scheffler.
I admit it. What's next?
Toss up, which team had the more meaningful win last night, the Cavaliers or the Celtics?
This, too, is easy for me. The Celtics had the most meaningful win last night. Look, the Cavaliers played the Bulls and they could get the Bulls in the first round of the playoffs, but Kobe White didn't play.
Yeah. Kobe
White, the last 2 months, has played as well as anybody on the Cavaliers, including Donovan Mitchell, who's going to get some votes for the MVP, and he deserved it. Kobe White was Player of the Month. He just did that.
Yep.
And the Bulls didn't play with him. I was so disappointed, so angry because the Bulls have played well. But that's for another time. The Celtics are hot. And Porzingis goes out there and reminds you why the Celtics can beat and probably will beat anybody, including Cleveland in the conference finals, if it comes to that, and it will, or Oklahoma City, or the Lakers, or Golden State maybe, because Porzingis, he's not even counted on all year, and he comes out and just drains that shot in a bloodless way. And I was like, oh, my God, let's not forget how great the Celtics are.
Kobe White's family just texted me. They want to thank you for weaving him into a topic about the Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics. Well done by you. All right, let's give the Cavs some credit. Number one, they've clinched the best record.
Yeah, but they're only 7-6 in the last 13.
All right, but it's still, let's look at the whole season, and this is post-LeBron, so they're in a really good place. They've done a great job.
They're in a great place.
Ownership, front office, this coaching staff, the players have been great. But for the Celtics, what was interesting about last night, right, they beat the Knicks in overtime. The Knicks should have fouled Tatum at the end of regulation when he hit that three. You got a foul there. But what was interesting really about Boston is Jaylen Brown. You know, he's out there playing. I think he's out there to get to the 65-game threshold for the regular season awards. He only played 22 minutes. He goes 2 for 8, 6 points, 3 turnovers. But it's not about the numbers. He did not look good. He was not moving well.
A little gimpy.
No.
So sit him down for these last 2 games.
Because the next big game they play is either going to be next Saturday
the second
or Sunday.
round.
Will be, well, all right.
It ain't going to be in the first round.
You know, you look at here's the playoff games that these guys have played in. Tatum's played in 113. Brown has played in 124. Think about the playoff and how young those guys are.
Yeah.
That would be, nobody's beaten them yet in the playoffs. Could they beat themselves if Jaylen Brown isn't close to being 100%?
He's going to have a couple of weeks, Frank. They're going to play Orlando or Atlanta in the first round, right? And okay, I mean, you know,
as long as they don't play Kobe White and the Bulls.
I want Kobe White and the Bulls to play against Cleveland. Boston.
So that's why
he got no shot.
They were holding him.
Got no shot against Boston. That's it. Let's take one last break. We're still to come. Ja changes out of that finger guns thing for a grenade.
And Christopher Morel gets robbed of a home run robbery. What is going on at George Steinbrenner Field?
The play-in in the West is going to be more interesting than the play-in in the East.
Yes. That is an understatement.
You know, Arise has won the batting titles the last 3 seasons while on 3 different teams. First, 316 with the Twins, then 354 with the Marlins, and last year 314 with the Padres. The last player to win 4 titles in a row was, of course, Tony Gwynn, the great Padres Hall of Famer. Arise started slowly this season, but has 11 hits in his last 4 games entering today, lifting his average from 129 to 313. He's been the subject of trade rumors for months. Trade rumors?
Again?
So he might have a chance to win his 4th title for a 14th. What?
You know, there are 2 players in Major League history that have won the batting title in both leagues. DJ LeMahieu and Arise.
That's it.
Because back then, Wade Boggs didn't
great player.
American League.
You didn't go anywhere. They kept you.
That's right.
Happy anniversary, David Thompson and George Gervin. On this day 47 years ago, Thompson scored 73 points for the Nuggets, 53 in the first half, Wilt-like pace, in an effort to win the NBA scoring title over George Gervin, the Iceman of the Spurs, on the last day of the regular season. Ice then needed 59 that night to pass Thompson and scored 63. The Spurs fed everything through Ice. He shot 49 times in 33 minutes. How about that, Frank? It was the tightest 1-2 finish ever, with Gervin averaging 27.22 points per game. Thompson right behind him, 27.15. And this was before the three-point shot existed in the NBA.
You know, the Spurs have a history of winning titles, winning the lottery, and doing this. Remember David Robinson?
Yes, David Robinson.
Did that to Shaq at the end of the 93-94 season when he scored 71. Then Shaq got him back at the All-Star game in 95. Remember when he dunked on him in San Antonio?
No threes, though.
Yeah.
How about that? Happy trails, Christopher Morel. What a night for Mr. Morel. In the second inning of last night's loss to the Angels, Morel had a potential inning-ending home run robbery snagged by ball-hawking fan Zach Hempel. This guy's got a rep as a fan. Umps ruled it a 2-run homer. In the 7th, Morel hit what appeared to him to be his own go-ahead 2-run homer, but it stayed inside the Rays' temporary home, becoming a game-tying double. And in the 8th, with another chance at the go-ahead RBI, Morel swung, missed at high heat, smashed his bat on the plate, and got Luca'd. The Rays' effort to replace him in the 9th and backfired in the field. Rays lost that game 4-3.
I love that they're playing at the Yankees spring training site. Do you realize, you remember Mike Trout? Remember that name?
Yeah.
Last night in the game, 0 for 3. He's batting 1.
Just glad to see him out there. Morel should have stayed with the Cubs. His life would have been better. One omission. Listen to this. The NBA has rescinded Luka's second technical foul from last night's game against OKC, the one we talked about for half the A block. Do you understand this?
So he wasn't screaming the profanity at the ref. It was the guy behind him.
Not
him. That guy, the other guy. That
they
guy,
must have
with
video that lines it up perfectly.
It was the tattoo dude. Please. Jeremy Price.
Running out of show, let's go to the big finish. Jalen Wells of the Grizzlies broke his right wrist during a horrific fall last night and appears to be out for the postseason. That's a big deal.
Oh, man, this was absolutely horrific. Did you see when this happened?
Yes.
Taken by a stretcher to the hospital, really ugly. In that same game, your guy, John Morant, appeared to mimic throwing a hand grenade toward the crowd. Your thoughts?
The NBA is afraid of John Morant. They're afraid of him. They don't want to admit it. They're scared.
Did you see that?
They are. Yeah, and then this. Cody Bellinger of the Yankees has sworn off chicken wings for 5 years after a bout of food poisoning. You even believe that?
Yeah, if you get sick from something, plus, you know me.
Chicken wings.
I'm a chicken parm guy. I don't do the chicken wing stuff. Cam Smith wore a suit jacket for his practice round at Augusta today. You like it?
Had to be an endorsement. Right? Was there a logo somewhere? An emblem? Was there something?
What do you think?
Huh?
What do you think?
There must have been. Last one of the Sixers going to lose their 13th in a row tonight.
Yeah, you want to know why? They want to hear with the first pick. The Philadelphia 76ers select. We're out of time. Thanks for watching. I'm Frank Isola.
I'm Mike Wilbon. We are bumped by the Masters until Monday, knuckleheads. What's in it?
5-day weekend for you. Not bad. You
That's
can
right.
watch Kobe White.
All right, Frank. What are you watching for in Luka's return to Dallas?
Yeah, it's going to be a love fest, absolutely. I think about Kevin Durant going back to Oklahoma City, Kyrie going back to Boston, and, of course, LeBron going back to Cleveland.
Those are full of booze, at least
Not
half.
going to be anything
No
like
booze,
that.
no
It'll
booze.
be an emotional night for him. My biggest thing will be how many shot attempts, how many points for Luka, and let's also remember, Jason Kidd, let's see what he devises tonight, because Luka's going to be rested. Because he got ejected from that game last night.
Fourth quarter.
The
That was
technical
fourth
got
quarter.
rescinded, so he only played 31 last night.
Yeah.
So that was a close game. He would have been close
Give
to
me an
40.
over-under on points.
I got him with 35 points tonight. Doesn't necessarily guarantee a win, though. I think
doesn't.
Jason Kidd's
No, it
got
doesn't.
something up his sleeve tonight.
Well, I think that Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, and Max Christie may have something up their sleeves.
Yeah.
There's some emotion for them. It's not the same as Luka. I'm not trying to say that. But Anthony Davis has had a couple of huge games and is capable. And he knows this is a referendum in part on him.
Yeah.
Because did Dallas get anything? People say, oh, Dallas got taken. Really? Anthony Davis is a first ballot Hall of Famer, a guy wearing something Luka has yet to put on his finger, a ring. And so Anthony Davis is just, chopped liver? No, Anthony Davis is going to play tonight. And I think Dallas could win that game and get themselves into the play-in with a win.
Well, Anthony Davis is a great player, but you still traded your second best player for Dallas's best player. And he's also 31 years old. This is no fault of Anthony Davis.
No.
Anthony Davis is a terrific guy, terrific player. But tonight is all about Luka. Let's see how he handles it. I wonder what his interaction will be.
Well,
not with Nico Harrison, not
but
with
his
Mark
teammates,
Cuban,
his former teammates.
also with the referees.
But again, Max Christie, who was in that
Yep.
trade, and Lively, who's come back from injury, who was already there, but he feels so bad. I was there the night he got hurt, and he wanted to get back for the playoffs. He may wind up doing it.
You know who's
Good
going to
for
steal
him.
the show?
Good for
He
Derek.
does it a lot. LeBron James. That's it. We're done. Back to you.
Oh, yeah, him.
Frank, Mike, thank you so much. Plenty of day baseball. How about this storyline? Yankees looking to avoid the sweep, and for the first return trip since the trade that sent him to the Lakers and sent Anthony Davis to Dallas in exchange. And AD wearing the shades. This will be AD's first game against LeBron and his former team, and we will get you ready for it. Welcome into SportsCenter. Fun show in front of us. Kevin Nagandi here. Busy day of baseball. Justin Fields finally talks about being a Jet. Plus, we head out to Augusta one day before the Masters. But first, it's Luka Doncic Day in Dallas. The return of 77, now in purple and gold. That's going to be weird. 7 seasons as a Mavs. He was the face of the franchise, averaging nearly 29 points per game, put up 80 triple-doubles. How about 44 40-point games, 7 50-point games, the most in Mavericks history. And on the scene in Dallas, NBA reporter Tim McMahon, who recently released a book on Luka and has all the storylines covered here. Tim, how is the Mavs organization handling this emotional return surrounding Luka's first game back in Dallas?
Howdy, Kevin. Look, the Mavericks organization is trying to show gratitude, trying to embrace Luka as he returns to Dallas. It's a difficult thing to execute, though, when they decided to dump Luka before the trade deadline, months removed from an NBA Finals appearance. They frankly kind of publicly shamed him on the way out of the door, which is the only way you can justify trading a 5-time first-team All-NBA selection before he hits his prime without him wanting out of town. So organizationally, it's really, frankly, awkward. They do have the T-shirts that, are in Slovenian, translates to thanks for everything. For the fans, this is going to be a surreal, emotional experience. They want to celebrate his 6.5 seasons, but they are sad. They are mourning the loss of that, of it not being much, much more. And by the way, Dirk Nowitzki is one of those fans. He will be in the building tonight for the first time since Luka Doncic was traded.
Oh, that says a lot. Back in late February in L.A., Doncic had a triple-double in his first game against the Mavericks, and that place is going to be really loud every time he has the basketball celebrating him. Tim, thank you so much. On the flip side, this is Anthony Davis's first game against the Lakers since the blockbuster trade. He's been down this road before. 41 points in his first game against the Pelicans. The team that drafted him remains the second most in a player's first game against his former team. And let me tell you, Anthony Davis, when Kyrie went down, Anthony Davis could have said, you know what, I'm going to sit out the rest of the season. He has decided, no, I'm going to play for this Mavericks team. He wants to make sure and figure things out with this franchise. Let's now bring in NBA reporter Dave McMenamin. Dave, how are the Lakers approaching tonight's game with Luka back in Dallas as we expect a ton of emotion coming from him?
Yeah, Kevin, a team source told me that today it was their normal preparation, while obviously being cognizant of the extra emotions that are going to be going through Luka Doncic's mind tonight. Austin Reeves told me he expects when he hears Luka Doncic's name being announced in the Lakers starting lineup tonight, it to be the loudest he's ever heard in an NBA arena in his 4-year NBA career. LeBron James said the goal for the Lakers should be, if we all do our job to the best of our abilities, then we will do our best for Luka. We'll put ourselves in a position to win. He can walk out of this building a winner tonight in his return to Dallas. And now, of course, we're all witness to the atmosphere and all the interactions going on already at the court here pregame. Max Christie, the former Lakers guard, when he left the court, he had an embrace with Rob Pelinka, the Lakers vice president of basketball operations and general manager. But Anthony Davis, when he left the course, he did not cross paths with Pelinka.
Interesting observation. And by the way, you want to win for Luka, but also if the Lakers win, they clinch a playoff spot with the W here against the Mavericks. We get this game on ESPN less than 90 minutes away. Thank you, Dave. For much more, here's PTI's bonus topic with Mike and Frank.